What was I just saying? Been through a lot. It's got a lot of compassion. I had an interrupting phone call there. So back at it. We'll slice these videos together. Now, if the card comes up and it's your, what you need to do, so your advice in a reading, it's saying do this or be more like this or behave like this. Because lots of people come and they ask, well, how should I be in an interview, or how should I be in this situation with a loved one or whatever. The card wants you to be compassionate, loving, kind, gracious, and use your power, because you have a lot of power in this situation, because it's a very powerful card, but to use it with caution, strength, and compassion, kindness, benevolence. So it's asking you to use the positive qualities of strength, or teach from all your lessons, all the hard lessons you've had, turn around and teach others. But if the card comes and it's saying, obviously this is going to be your challenge, like I said, somebody may challenge you with their abuse of power, or their, bad leadership, or it's asking you to be careful and not abuse your power. So yeah, if the card comes up and it's describing something like what's your finances going to look like in the next year, a lot of strength here. Through hardship, maybe go through hardship, but become really strong through it financially. So you have to put that in the context of what was asked and what's being talked about in the reading, right? Okay, let's move on to the Chariot. The Chariot. Now this card is fascinating. There's a little tiny, see that little, looks like a spinning top. Okay, so that's the sort of the small version of the Wheel of Fortune, that little spinning top. So there's a feeling of fast and karmic destiny to this card. So it's got a bit of a destiny feel. It's the number 7. See that? Roman numeral 5 with 2 is 7. 5 and 2 is 7. Okay, and there's this energy. It looks like a Roman, soldier or whatever. He's got all his armor on, indicating the human ego. Okay, covering up the soft and sort of vulnerability of this person. A human body is soft and vulnerable compared to the armor on the outside, which would be the ego. And this star, so there's vulnerability, it's indicating, so it's like the star card, so there's vulnerability, but it's inside this person. He's covering up his vulnerability. And with the moons, so there's 2 crescent moons and moon faces, 2 faces of the moon, talking about Cancer. There's a feeling of Cancer. And the card is number 7, so it's July. So that would be the month of, Cancer for the most part, up until July 21st. If you're born in July till the 21st, you're going to be a Cancer, the star sign Cancer, right? So now wings always indicate some kind of spiritual, beyond human, like it's beyond your perception. So things are going on behind the scenes in this card that are not necessarily, you think you're in charge, but you're actually being guided by these 2 creatures. They look like sphinxes, right? So they're spiritual creatures from the Book of the Dead, apparently, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. They describe these creatures, and they are like the Sphinx, this one in particular. And so you'd have to read up on that, exactly what those creatures represent, but they're from the spirit world, and they're fates, right? And remember the towers in, the High Priestess, she's got the B tower and the J. So it's talking about the 2 ways in the world, so the light and the dark, that you need both those energies to create, life force energy. You need, what we call the dark forces and the light forces. And in order to even notice what's a light force, so a good force in the world, you need the dark forces, or you don't even know the difference. So it's talking about balance. So the fact that those are the black and the white, but the balanced creatures that are spiritually driven are guiding this person, and the person only believes, they only believe they're in charge. right? So this is what's interesting. If you got this as your archetype, you were guided spiritually, and it's your destiny to be in this class or taking tarot or studying tarot. So that's interesting, right? Now, if the card comes up as an archetype, generally speaking, so say you were thinking of dating somebody and this archetype came up, this person can be quite egotistical and believe they're always in charge, even though we all know who's really in charge, our higher self. Destiny is really in charge, so this reminds us of that, but a personality with this, depending on how it's aspected. I mean, I like people who have a lot of self-confidence, but this card can be badly aspected where it's downright, excuse the term, cocky and obnoxious even, pushy and arrogant. Okay, so those are the negative sides of that, where they think they're know-it-alls and they got this and they're in charge, even though clearly the spirit world's actually in charge, right? So these are people who may not know that and are full of themselves, or they could just take a lot of risks and chances. They could just be risky and fun-loving to the point of love adventure, and they take a lot of risks usually as an archetype, this personality. And depending, like, is it spiritual risks, relationship risks? Are they emotional risks they take? Or is it physical risks? Are they a fast driver? Are they risky physically on the earth plane? So when the card comes up and it's your challenge, maybe you're taking too many risks or being a little too cocky about a situation or too sure-footed. But if it's your advice, maybe put on your armor, stop being so soft, put on your ego and strut out there and give them all you got, or really like bring a little ego into the situation, because that can come in handy too. Like when you're going for a job interview, a lot of places aren't going to hire you if you seem too self-deprivating and loathing, you know what I mean? This card wants you to fake it till you make it. If it's telling you do this, bring it a little, right? And push it a little and be for yourself and take risks and chances, right? And if it's coming up to describe a person, you have to look around. Okay, is that the kind of boss you want, or is it badly aspected? Is it well aspected? Because if you're working in, say, finance and banking, and this card comes up and this is going to be your boss, this person's going to take a lot of risks and chances, and might even, they're a bit edgy. They might even live on the edge a bit. Yeah. So, I mean, is that okay with you, right? Do you want a boss like that? Or do you want to work with someone like that? Or are you like that, right? So look around. Where does the card come up? Yeah. Okay, we're going to do one more because these are, wow, we're getting really intense into these here. It's a big lesson already. Okay, so let's look at the High Priestess. Yeah, so we already started talking about her. Now, right away, crescent moon. Moon phases, full moon, crescent, so waxing and waning. She's very moon driven. She's the number 2 in the major arcana, 2. So the second card in the series, right? So there's the Fool, and then there's the Magician. He's the number 1. And now we've got the number 2. And she's very much intuition. She could even be an example of, so they say everybody has a high priestess residing in their third eye. So that sort of energy just above, between your 2 eyes and just above on your forehead, between your eyebrows really, and just a little bit above where your eyes would be. So the third eye, the 6th chakra. So she is intuitive, incarnate really. So she's about our intuition. Okay, now look really closely. She's got the book of tarot, not tarot cards, but tarot actually, tarot with the A. And it's apparently somehow aligned with the Book of the Dead as well. So, or aligns itself with the Akashic, and I don't know Akashic, how to say that word exactly, Akashic records. So in other words, your karmic records and records of all your lifetimes and human experiences from the beginning of time Okay, so that's a lot of information. Some people channel that, right? So they channel what people's karmic lessons are and things like that. And it's all in these records, they say, kept in these records. Anyway, so she's the keeper of the secrets and the knower of the knowledge and the deep wisdom. And behind her, her drape has pomegranates, which is very sexual and a symbol of fertility. So she understands sexuality and human fertility, but she's a little aloof from it. She's apart from it. So she understands human life and suffering and the beauty of it, and all about life, death, cycles, and birth and sexuality and all that. She knows all about it. She understands that we need the dark forces to light up and allow us to see the light forces in the world. She understands the balance between the light and the dark. She understands the moon phases, astrology, numerology. She could be a tarot reader. She could be archetypally. She's been studying esoterically for lifetimes. So if you got this as your archetype for tarot, you've probably studied it before in other lifetimes. And you could even be meant to be a reader, or already are. You just have to polish it up a bit, right? Yeah. Now, she can be a little tricky. If she comes badly aspected, it's about secrets, hidden knowledge, and people using higher knowing and hidden knowledge, against others. It can be about cover-ups and dark deeds that are being hidden from you. It can be about, she's the keeper of the secrets, secret, covert things going on behind your back. She can go very badly very quickly. It can be about plots and plans using magic and or covert operations. It can be about deception and deceiving, and she can be quite deceptive. So she can go bad very quickly. You have to look around what's around her, what other cards are around her. Especially, say you put the Magician here. This card can be a bit negative, especially when sitting next to those two together. Big lies and deception, cover-ups going on. And maybe even in the media, because this card has come to me in the media, or stories that are being put out there, written word or words being used, conversation and words being used to deceive. Yeah, so all kinds of ways. But if she's well aspected, she's the highest of intuitive knowing. She can be quite shy and reserved as an archetype, and private, and not broadcasting what she knows. You have to tap it out of her, like you have to go pay her for it, trade her, entice her into telling you her secrets. Listen quiet. She's quiet and there's a subtlety to her, but that can turn into, if it's badly aspected, sneaky, and yeah, it can be about dark ritual magic, things like that. But that would be badly aspected, like with dark cards around it, like the devil. So using that energy for bad, right? Because people do. They use esoteric, ancient knowledge, not in a good way, just for their own gain, right? And like the Illuminati and things like that. Yeah, so she can, spying and secrets. Now, archetypally, we're not reading it that way. If you brought it to the tarot class, and this is what your card was, it's wonderful. It means you're probably meant to be doing tarot, and you've likely done it before. Yeah, so look around. Where does the card come? It can also mean, if it's describing someone sexually, either a non-sexual person, so somebody who chooses to be celibate, or at least at the time of the reading, or it could also, just in their life they're choosing celibacy, but it can also be someone who enjoys same sex, is attracted to same sex, and or has a very unique sexual appetite. Then you have to look around what other cards are around it. Yeah, so yeah, very complicated, like not, these do not have just one meaning. Incredibly naive to think they do. So if anyone tells you, oh no, it always means this, you got a bad reader on your hands. Don't listen. They're all incredibly complex, and they're going to teach you how they want to read with you. You're going to have a relationship with your cards. Thank you so much. I think we'll have to tap that up for the lesson today. Yeah, we're getting pretty wordy about all of these, but better to be thorough. I'll have another lesson up tomorrow. Bye-bye.